Hello and welcome back to Green Money Momentum, where we talk about market movements, making money, and money momentum. I'm your host, Trevor, and we are here for yet another daily talk of stock. And it is Thursday, May 29th, and the markets were pretty confused today. That is why I am wearing the red shirt with the green tie, because just as this reads right here, the S&P climbs on strong NVIDIA earnings, but trade policy confusion caps gains. And so overall, the markets today, some plays were in the green, others were to the right and in the red, which many of my plays were today. But the big news, the reason why all of this is because last night we got the news that the Supreme Court had struck down most of Trump's tariffs, ruling them illegal. And so the markets actually reacted green to this last night. When the news came out, the overnight markets did have a big pop up. So a lot of stocks were running higher, as well as the major indexes. But then when the morning started, we did see a lot of bleeding in the markets. And then to make the confusion even worse and to throw an even bigger wrench into everything, the U.S. Appeals Court has reinstated the Trump tariffs, creating that market confusion. So in less than 24 hours, we saw the Supreme Court say no to the tariffs, and then we saw the appeals court say yes to the tariffs. So definitely some interesting times we live in, and this is just overall shaking the markets up. As we have been talking about on this channel all year long, the markets have been reacting to these three factors here, and that is inflation, interest rates, and then last, the tariffs. And so there's been a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt this year all around the tariffs. And if there's anything that the markets don't like, it is uncertainty. And so the market's a bit shaky today because of the uncertainty around tariffs. There was already a lot of uncertainty around tariffs, but now the Supreme Court has done this, making the uncertainty go even higher. And so the markets in some plays did have a bit of a sell-off, including this one here. We're going to start out with this play, and that is DJT. This is a favorite on this channel, so Trump Media and Technology Group, and this stock has had a wild week because, as we have been talking about on this channel all year long, this stock has a major support zone right around $21 to $27. When we just look at the last year in DJT, we could see that this stock has been in this range for quite a while, and when we zoom out, we could see that this sits as a major level in just the overall history of the chart. So this stock has shot up before, up in the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, but each time it has returned back down to this channel. And then as of most recently, we have broken underneath this channel. So as of just a couple days ago, earlier in the week, DJT broke above this resistance level, right? They got all the way right to $29, but it was rejected. And now the stock is sitting right under $21. So now this stock is looking a bit oversold, and the technical indicators are showing that to be true as well. When we look at the RSI, we have fallen off quite a bit, being to levels as high as almost 70 to now we are at 36, but the bleeding might ensue a little bit because when we look at the MACD, it does show that there is more possibility for more retraction in DJT. But myself, I am not too worried about this retraction because myself, I have been investing into this play over the long term. So I personally added my shares back here last year in September. And as I stated, I am holding these shares for the entire length of Trump's presidency. So over the next 4 years, and that is definitely the way I would suggest playing with this play here, because we do talk a lot about options contracts on this channel, but with this stock, it is pretty unpredictable, and there also has been a lot of halting and manipulation in the past. So there will be quick gains sometime with this stock, but as DJT investors know, it has been a little bit of a frustrating hold up to this point. So this stock right here runs a lot off the meme stock category. It falls right into those plays. So if at any time the markets start to pump more with some funny money and we start to see some real stimulation in the markets, we could see a pop in DJT from that. And then also, as we have been saying on this channel, I believe a lot in the intrinsic value behind this company, and the earnings haven't been the best up to this point. But at any point, if this company comes out with a killer earnings report, something that beats expectations, we could see a massive rise here as well. So with DJT, there's a lot of intrinsic value behind this stock, a lot that this company is doing in the background. If you don't know about that, check out some of my older videos on DJT. I have been covering it extensively. And so those who know, you know, and myself, right now, DJT under $21. I think that this is a great buying opportunity. Next is going to be BBAI. That's right, that big guy back there in my background, Big Bear. So Big Bear has been having a little bit of a fight themselves as well. Big Bear reached all the way up to 430 and then to 450 just a couple days back. I believe Big Bear actually got all the way up to around 460, but it was rejected around that resistance level of around 450. And so Big Bear has dropped below 430 and then right now is currently sitting at 390. But this is no surprise. If you check my video yesterday on Big Bear, I was actually calling for a little bit of a retraction. I thought what would happen, funny enough, it's about exactly what happened, is that we could drop back down to around the range of $3.85 to $3.75. So we're close to that right now at $3.92. But the reason why I was saying that is because we could see that Big Bear is growing in this rising channel. So as we can see here, we have a rising level of support as well as resistance. And each time it has tapped onto this higher level of rising resistance, it has been rejected and has fallen back to that rising level of support, which is about where it sits right now. We could see a tad more bleeding in the Big Bear tomorrow, but we are really close to that rising level of support. So we may also see a big pop. And when we look at the other technical indicators here, we are lining up nicely on the RSI and then also on the MACD. So both indicators there showing that there is still opportunity for Big Bear to run up. And with the markets feeling some fear, uncertainty, and doubt today, if the markets continue to feel fear, uncertainty, and doubt, what makes me confident in Big Bear when it comes to macroeconomic trends is that most recently a lot of plays did become a bit overextended. So a lot of them were reading very high on the RSI and then also on the MACD. So showing very overbought, but Big Bear did not get to those levels. So Big Bear has sat at a more reasonable spot on the RSI. And then again, we could see this trend that has been building, and it has actually been decently predictable. And so with Big Bear, we are very bullish over the long term of the Big Bear. I have a lot of shares in Big Bear, and I am also holding a lot of options contracts in Big Bear. So over the long term, I am very bullish on the Big Bear, but I am also bullish on the short term because the big event we have coming up for Big Bear is going to be on Monday, and that is the annual meeting of the stockholders. So on June 2nd, and this will be a big shareholder meeting. What we're hoping is that Big Bear does talk about the possibilities of dilution, and then also we're hoping that they discuss some of the lawsuits that have been against them. If you type in Big Bear on Google, you will see lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit. And that is just because all these law firms are going after Big Bear from this big drop off that they had earlier in the year, saying that if you have lost some money in Big Bear, to contact them. So we're getting through that lawsuit. The price is continuing to grow. So strong positive movements there. And then again, we have this big event coming up. So myself, I am very bullish on the Big Bear, and I do believe that we will finish this week above the $4 mark. So Big Bear might have a bit of a bleed tomorrow. I don't really see the stock going below 375. And if it does tap at 375, I would consider that to be right at that rising level of support. And so that is one AI play that we're going to talk about. The next is one that we have been talking about that is also on this rising level of support and resistance, and that is SoundHound AI. And so with SoundHound, I recently added into my position right here. I bought some options contracts, and that is because we had fallen right below this rising level of support, but we did get that big green yesterday, some red today, but SoundHound sitting right on this rising level of support. So I do believe that we will see another big pop in SoundHound, and I do believe that this is a strong investment for both the short term and both the long term. When we look at major levels of resistance, we want to see SoundHound reach right back into the $12 to $15 range. As we know, earlier in this year, this stock was sitting right there. So when we look at the technical indicators, we could see also we are at a reasonable spot on the RSI, and then the MACD does signal that there could still be some growth coming up in the upcoming weeks. And if you don't know what SoundHound AI is, well, they are a company that uses AI technology and voice, and they have a lot of big customers. So on this channel, we talk a lot about a bunch of different small market cap stocks, and we only talk about some. So there's a lot of different plays out there in the market. I mean, hundreds and hundreds of stocks you could pick from, and a lot of them are in the small market cap range, but we don't touch them all because some seem like gimmicks or just the fundamentals don't look the best. But with SoundHound, their fundamentals look great. This company continues to earn money every single quarter. They've paid off all of their debt, and then they have all of these big companies right here. So you can see here BBVA, you have Kia, you have Pandora, you have Samsung, Applebee's, Planet Fitness, Nvidia, Chipotle. So the list goes on and on. So SoundHound working with a lot of big brands, and this company constantly growing. Another thing to think about with SoundHound is in the past, they had just one customer account for more than 90% of their revenue. Now we see all these customers here, and what's really impressive is none of these customers account for more than 10% of SoundHound's revenue. So SoundHound has greatly diversified their customer base. And so now talking about that, the next stock that we're going to bring up here, this is one that we have yet to talk about on this channel. So this is actually a first here, and this is Joby Aviation. And so this is a small cap stock, but I personally don't know if I will be touching this stock. The reason why I wanted to talk about it is because I had a subscriber reach out to me about this. He actually emailed me, and he had asked, he said that he was feeling some fear of missing out because of Joby's big run up yesterday. So Joby went up about 30% yesterday, and it's because of a big contract that we're going to get into here in a second. But he said he was feeling some fear of missing out, and he was feeling a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt because he had his eyes on Joby, but he didn't know if he should invest into the play. So when we just look at the technicals, well, we could see that with their most recent pop that this stock has reached into the overbought range. So we could see that we are sitting high on the RSI on this play, and then also the MACD, it is looking a bit overbought there as well. And so what is Joby Aviation? Like I say, this is the first time we have ever talked about this stock on this channel. So if you aren't in the news with what Joby Aviation is, they're a United States venture-backed aviation company developing electric vehicle takeoff and landing aircraft. So they have a lot to do with drones, and the reason for that big 30% pop yesterday is that they did just announce a big deal with Toyota that is closing to be $250 million. So they announced this big deal with Toyota, $250 million investment. And so this is part of a previously announced deal between the two that said the car maker was going to invest $500 million in this company to support certification and commercial production of its electric air taxis. And so some big news there. And so now many investors may be thinking, oh, wow, Joby is going to be a big play into the future. I should start investing. Well, this is where I recommend to proceed with caution. Like like I say, there are a lot of small market cap stocks in the market, but we only target a few. We only isolate on a few different stocks, and that is because there are a lot of different plays in the stock market. A lot can be considered as fads, and then the other thing is a lot of these companies are typically trying to bleed investors, and that is what I worry about with Joby. As investors, of course, we always want to be ahead of the trend. We always want to catch the next big Nvidia or Tesla. You know, we want to be in before the big rise happens. And so with these smaller market cap stocks, they know a lot of investors feel this way, and then through time they will do a lot of shady tactics, or they will dilute the shares, just furthering making those who have invested into that play, making their investment more worthless. And so I personally think that will happen in Joby Aviation. Just when I look at it from an outside perspective, as someone who has yet to invest, this is one of the first times I have seen Joby. I see that Joby has a lot of big pops in the past, but with each big pop, they typically would fall back down. So some quick-lived rises and some fast falls in Joby. And then just looking at their earnings history, not great. So I could see with their revenues here, they have revenues with some quarters under 100,000. So not very big quarters. The financials don't really look that great to me. Again, having quarters that are under $1 million, and then the market cap seems significantly high. So a market cap of $6 billion. So all of that right there doesn't look appetizing to me as an investor. But then there is also this. So anytime you are going to get into an investment, this is something I recommend doing. I always go over to ChatGPT, and the first question I always ask it is, will this stock, will this company dilute shares? So as I asked it, will Joby Aviation stock dilute? And then it says, yes, they have experienced stock dilution and may continue to do so in the future. And so this comes off recent events in May 2025. So this month, Joby closed the first 250 million tranche of a 500 million strategic investment from Toyota. This investment involved issuing approximately 100 million new shares at $5.03. And so if you were just to look at this article right here, as somebody who, the naked eye, you know, if you're a bullish investor or if you get hyped off of the news and the articles, this right here, as well as the big pop that you saw in the stock yesterday, may get you very excited. But this is where you always need to do your own due diligence and dive deeper, because yes, Toyota is making a big investment into this company. But as we could see here, they are going to dilute investors by issuing more than 100 million new shares into existence. And this is crazy because there is some share dilution. There is some fear of share dilution in the Big Bear. So Big Bear AI has big share dilution concerns, but they only have 291 million outstanding shares. Joby already has way more than that. So outstanding shares, they have 791 million already, and they're looking to add another 100 million into circulation. So they are just looking to dilute investors. In my opinion, this is not a positive scenario. So this company right here saying that there is the possibility of share dilution. Now, talking about share dilution, this company plans to do the opposite. And so Robinhood stock, will they dilute? And as they say, as ChatGPT says, as of now, Robinhood does not have any publicly announced plans to dilute its shares. In fact, the company has been actively repurchasing its own stock. So quite the opposite of dilution. So with Robinhood stock, I see a lot of strength within this company. They are constantly growing. If you look at their quarters, earning more money every single quarter. And by far, Robinhood is the most popular app among young people nowadays. And so, as we could see with this rising level of support on Robinhood, it seems to only continue to grow. And so now some investors are looking at this spot right here, maybe with some eyes of fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Again, we are just like many plays, we are looking a bit overvalued on the RSI and then a little bit on the MACD. So a possibility that we do see a little bit of bleeding in Robinhood, but I personally don't think it will be too bad if there is bleeding. And this is one of those companies that I am investing into for the long term. So I am adding shares into Robinhood over the next years, and I am holding long and strong. And that is just because of everything that Robinhood has to offer. So Robinhood, already one of the most popular banking, or one of the most popular investing softwares among young people. So I could bet that most people coming out of high school or in college, many times, if they are going to start investing, it is with Robinhood. And not only are they an investment platform, but they are also going to be launching their banking product later this year in the fall. And if you were just to compare Robinhood to SoFi, I definitely think that Robinhood is the stronger of the two, because this company has a lot of investors already using the app. It is the most popular among the young people. It is the most popular on Wall Street bets. And in general, it just has a massive net for the amount of individuals and the amount of money that is within this company. And now they are expanding it with their banking platform. So if you compare this next to SoFi, in my opinion, Robinhood absolutely kicks the ass of SoFi. And it's funny because I see a lot of YouTubers online talking about SoFi, but SoFi moves just so slow. And then we have the alternative of Robinhood here. I don't know why more YouTube channels don't talk about Robinhood, because I think over the growth of this company, I think the growth in this company over the years is going to be massive. And again, just when we think about share dilution, well, they are the opposite. They are looking to repurchase their own stock. And so Robinhood, they are not just investing, they are now banking, and they also are gambling. So if you are a sports gambler, you could also sports gamble on Robinhood. And so as we go further into this society, which we are in, where everybody becomes their own investor, you know, back in the day, many times you would have to rely on having an investment broker. You'd have to call in, or it would be done through the bank. 401ks, those are still popular, but that used to be the only way that many would invest. Now everybody has it on their phone. And so with that happening, and with our society leaning more and more towards that direction, I think that Robinhood is going to continue to dominate all the other investment apps. And then again, with them doing their banking, that only adds even more intrinsic value in Robinhood. And so I'm very excited because we're following the storyline of Robinhood here, and their banking product starts later this fall. So we have that to look forward to, as well as this company purchasing back some of their shares, making the ones in existence even more valuable. And so, quick summary, DJT, yes, it has fallen off a bit. I know many investors cannot be too happy. I know this can be a frustrating hold, but as I've been saying on this channel, I believe that between $21 to $27 is a great range to buy this stock. So now that it is slightly under that, buying a share of DJT for just $20, I believe, is a great value. Myself, again, I am holding over the course of the next 4 years. So this is just small movements for what I believe will come into the future. For Big Bear AI, on the short term, my eyes are glued on what is coming next Monday. I am very, very bullish over the long term of Big Bear, as well as the short term. Same with SoundHound, very bullish long term and short term. Both these stocks are rising right along a rising level of support. Joby Aviation, I am not touching this stock currently, but that is because I believe that there will be dilution, and I just don't see the intrinsic value behind this company. Now, they do have that big investment with Toyota, and they are a real company doing real things, but with the news of share dilution, I don't think as an investor I am going to be able to participate in the fun of this stock. But if you feel something different, if you are bullish on Joby Aviation, I encourage you to please leave a comment in the section below. Tell me why you think I'm wrong or why you are bullish on Joby, because above all, that's what this is all about. I want us to all grow. I want us to all invest and grow together. So if you hear something that I say that you don't like or you disagree, don't hesitate to comment down below. I would love to hear your opinions. And then again, last with Robinhood, as I just talked about, very bullish on that stock as well. But I would be curious to hear what everyone else thinks about these plays. So please drop a comment, please leave a like, and please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Thank you guys all so much, and I'll see you in the next daily talk of stock.